Go down in the comments right now and predict the score. Las Vegas Raiders going up against the San Francisco 49ers preseason Week 3 action. And if you want to go ahead and make a bet on this game, there's one place to do it and one place only. That's at chatsports.com/Raiders. Make sure you use that promo code, though, Raiders125 to get that 125% deposit bonus. So, predict the score. Go down, put $100 down, get $125 for free. What do you got to lose? No matter the location, from OAKLA to LV, I'm a Raider. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Today's show is a preseason preview of the Battle of the Bay. Raiders going up against the San Francisco 49ers on the road. And in this one, I am very interested to see how this one's going to be able to shake down. So on today's show, I'm going to give you some key players that I want every single person to watch. I'm also going to talk about some players against the 49ers that I really hope our defense is able to show up against. But I'm also going to give you what I think this score is going to be in this one, how to break down the over-under, and who you should be betting on. But what I really want you guys to do is set a reminder, whether it's on your phone, whether it's on your, computer, wherever the hell it is. We're going to be doing a Raiders and 49ers live watch party. So tune in, 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:45 Pacific. It's going to be a watch party that you've never seen before. It's going to be me on the Raiders Report, and it's going to be Chase Sr. of the 49ers Report on one camera. I need you guys to show out because we have a bet going on where if you guys can get him drunk, we win. That's all I'm trying to say. So go ahead and subscribe, youtube.com/Raiders Report. Now, this past week, I had a live show. And a lot of super chats in there, a lot of $100 super chats. And I always say, if you send in a $100 super chat, I will put you on a show because if you're supporting me, I'm going to support you. So shout out to Lee Johnson, Pretty Kitty Reyes, Raider Ed, much love. And then also Vincent Luna, David Zahn, _Obby Love. I appreciate the $100 super chats that you guys send in. If you ever want to send in a $100 super chat, obviously, it helps the show a lot. We get crazy during our watch parties, and I'll make sure that I go ahead and give you guys a little bit of love on some shows. So coming up now, we got some players to watch on the offensive side of the football for the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to start at the quarterback position, then go to running back, wide receiver, tight end, and round it out with the offensive line. So obviously here, the Raiders, they've been going with the one-man army, and it's Nathan Peterman. And if you're going to get led by Nathan Peterman, obviously, that's best case scenario, right? I'm kind of joking here. But he's 45 of 63 this preseason, 418 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Sometimes he's looked pretty good. Other times he's looked like Nathan Peterman. Now, he's done a pretty good job being able to maintain this offense. His contract is fully guaranteed. But one player that suited up last week and didn't play, and probably the top guy that I get asked, hey, is he going to play this week? It's Marcus Mariota. I don't know if Mariota is going to play. From what I understand, if he wants to play, he's going to be healthy enough to do so. But the Raiders have also basically played Peterman 99% of the snaps, and remember, they had Case Cookus in the first preseason game, and then he ended up getting cut. But if Mariota goes out on the field, if Derek Carr go out on the field, obviously you're going to go ahead and watch those players. But it does sound like San Francisco, they're going to play all of their starters. I don't think the Raiders will, though. So type P for play, type S for sit. If you want Mariota to play against the 49ers, as much as I want to see him, I don't want him to get hurt. So to be honest with y'all, I'm going to go ahead and type my S for sit. I really don't want to see that happen. So continue to get those votes in. P for play, S for sit. Do you want Mariota to go up against the San Francisco 49ers? I am seeing a lot of P's right now down in the comments, which I probably shouldn't say that out loud or else YouTube's going to go ahead and block me. All right, we're going to go from quarterbacks now to the running back position. Josh Jacobs, Kenyan Drake, Alec Ingold. But are we going to be watching any of these players on Sunday? No, we're not. They're probably the 3 names that get played the most and probably the only guys that are actually going to get some run. Trey Ragas, Garrett Groshek, B.J. Emmons. The 2 names that I'm really going to focus, though, on are Ragas and Emmons because after the first week, both guys played pretty well, and I continue to get asked, well, who's going to make the roster? Do they have a chance? I mean, after this game, you might say advantage B.J. Emmons, right? I mean, he had 8 carries for 34 yards. Sure, he didn't have any touchdowns, no catches. Ragas, though, on the other hand, he did find the end zone again, but only 1 yard, 6 carries. He had a long of 8. He did have 2 catches on 2 targets for 24 yards. But we are starting to be in this time of the year where the Raiders just went down to an 80-man roster, and next week they're going to have to get it down to a 53-man roster. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you guys are tuned in. That way you don't miss anything. But who's the better running back? If you could only keep one RB, who would you keep? Would you keep Ragas? Go down in the comments right now and type R. Or would you keep B.J. Emmons? I want you to go ahead and type E. Wide receivers are next up here on the Raiders Report in my preview up against the 49ers. Henry Ruggs, Edwards, John Brown, Hunter Renfrow. Love these guys, but those are not the dudes I'm talking about here. The Raiders decided to move on from Marcel Aitman, which means some of the names that you guys are going to be watching for is probably going to be Keelan Doss, probably going to be a Dylan Stoner, maybe DJ Turner, Zay Jones. Those are the top, I'd say, 4 names that I'm going to be watching for in this game. Now, in terms of some of the wide receivers that played well against the Rams, well, only 4 guys made an actual catch. You had Marcel Aitman made a nice grab. Keelan Doss was unable to get a catch. Dylan Stoner had 1 catch in there, and Zay Jones as well. So, DJ Turner, he didn't have a touchdown. It was Marcel Aitman was 45 yards and a touchdown. Turner had 2 catches for 19 yards, and then also Zay Jones, 1 grab for 5 yards. But Aitman did have 2 for 45 and a touchdown. He was one of the better receivers up against the Rams. But I am sitting here talking about somebody to go up against the 49ers. So the guy that I'm going to be watching really close here is actually Keelan Doss, because he got targeted 2 times, had no catches last week. I don't think he's going to end up making the 53-man, but the fact that the Raiders decided to keep Doss over Aitman is kind of telling, and I do want him to end up making the practice squad. Let's go to the tight end room now. Darren Waller, Foster Moreau, Derek Carrier, none of those guys, well, at least I don't think Moreau or Waller are going to be playing in this one. I would love to see it, but you're going to see Carrier, you're going to see Bowers, Bushman, Ellis. Last week, Alex Ellis was the top receiver. However, he has not been good blocking. And I mean, if you're trying to be the 3rd tight end in a John Gruden style of offense, you need to be able to block a little bit better. Clearly, the best blocker of this group is Carrier, and probably going to be the 3rd tight end that ends up making this roster. But I do want you guys to be watching Bowers. I want you to go ahead and watch Bushman, Ellis, because I am curious who is going to be the other tight end that ends up making this roster. Now, probably the top position that I want every single person to watch, it's the offensive line. Simply put, the backup offensive linemen have been bad. And I know John Simpson here and there has been okay, but the top players that I'm going to be watching for the Raiders up against the San Francisco 49ers, it's going to be some of these backups here. Like the Raiders, they decided to bring back Devery Hamilton. I'm going to be watching him closely. John Simpson, if he's going to be able to fill in for Richie Incognito if he goes down. Nick Martin was terrible. Patrick Omahe was really bad last week as well. And Jared Jones-Smith has just been an absolute disaster on the right side of the offensive line. I'm confident in the starters, but the backups for the Raiders right now in this offensive line, dude, I'm telling you what right now, have not been good whatsoever. Something that's very good is the deal we got going on with BetUS. If you guys want to go ahead and bet on the Raiders preseason games, if you want to go ahead and bet on any preseason game, you can go ahead and do it at chatsports.com/Raiders. Promo code Raiders125. It's going to get you that 125% deposit bonus. If you have no idea what the hell I just said, if you to put down $100 and go down and use this link and you use that promo code, you're going to get $125 for free. Yes, for free to bet with. So when you look at the odds right now in this Raiders and 49ers game, the over-under is set at 35.5 points. The 49ers are 3.5-point favorites, but that's because they're playing a lot of their starters, and I don't really think the Raiders are going to play theirs. But I don't usually do this, but I'm going to trust my heart here, and I don't want to have to root for the 49ers. Not that I would, but I'm going to go ahead and say I think the Raiders are going to win this game. I'm going to believe in Nathan Peterman, and that they are going to cover. I actually don't know how many starters are going to play for the 49ers. I know that they're saying that they're going to. It sounds like to me, though, it's like more of a guarantee that Trey Lance is going to start. Can the Raiders get underneath the skin of a young rookie quarterback? You definitely could see it happening. So the over-under, 35.5, 49ers, 3.5-point favorites. So I'm going to take the Raiders, and I'm also going to say give me the under in total points. A lot of these preseason games have been kind of ugly to watch. I mean, let's face it, the Rams game last week was also under. The Raiders and Seahawks game, that was under. I usually say life's too short to bet the under, but in preseason games, I'm going to continue to make money on it. So we went with the offense. I gave you an awesome deal from BetUS. Now it's time to talk about the defense. So here are some players that I want you guys to watch on the defensive side of the football. And we are first, of course, going to start at the line linebacker position because it's probably the position that has the most question marks around it as it stands right now. You're not going to see Javen White. You're not going to see Littleton, Morrow, or you might see some Tanner Muse. But the number one dude that you need to be watching for, Divine Deablo. He's going to be practicing this week. It sounds like he is going to end up playing in this one as well. And shout out to our team for getting the brand new Divine Deablo picture. That is a high quality mustache. I might actually shave my face and rock a Divine Deablo. All I'm saying is you could do a lot of things there with that bad boy. So some players to watch against the 49ers. By far, number one is Divine Deablo at the linebacker position. Now it's time to go to the cornerback position here, where you got Trayvon Mullen, Hayward. I anticipate seeing a lot of Damon Arnett, but probably, and I shouldn't even say probably. So, I mean, most of you guys are going to be watching Hobbs and Amik Robertson. Very, very fun players. But it does sound like this is going to be the first game that the Raiders are going to be able to showcase Isaiah Johnson, who was a 4th-round pick out of Houston back in 2019. He's been battling some injuries, but he's a very athletic corner, fits the Gus Bradley system well. I've actually had him in my most recent 53-man roster projection, not making the team. But if he's healthy and if he can prove to be as talented as what I actually had him when he first came out of the draft process, he could easily end up making it. But it does sound like he needs to have a halfway decent game here. So will Isaiah Johnson end up making the 53-man roster for the Las Vegas Raiders? If you're like, hell yeah, man, he's going to, why don't you go down in those comments and type Y for yes. If you don't think that there is any chance in hell that he is going to end up making this team, you can go ahead and type your N for no. I don't really know if there's a wrong answer right now as it stands, but 53-man roster is going to have to get down by August 31st, 4 p.m. Eastern Time next week. Y for yes and for no. Let's now go to the defensive end room here. You got Yannick Ngakoue, Max Crosby, Cleveland Ferrell. In terms of the players that I'm going to be looking for here, I mean, probably not Carl Nassib. I mean, you can at least watch him. Gary Green's halfway decent. But then, I mean, definitely Malcolm Kuntz is going to be somebody that I keep in mind, especially for the young rookie who he had 6 tackles last year, 6 tackles last week, 4 solo tackles up against the Rams. Some people have already been saying that he looks a little bit undersized. He looks a little bit outmatched him. I do agree to a certain point that he does look undersized, and he might look a little bit outmatched. But in certain game situations, when he comes in, he's got those fresh legs because that's when the Raiders are going to use him. Fresh legs, so you can really get some of that extra bend. All I'm saying is be a little bit more patient with Malcolm Kuntz. Now, we got 885 people watching right now. I know not everyone watching live follows me on Instagram, but I did promise people earlier in the week that, hey, if you want a shout-out on the Raiders Report, I have a challenge for you. Post on your Instagram your Raiders costume. And I know there's a lot of awesome costumes out there. So shout out to Yoshi. Shout out to Chick777 for submitting theirs. If you want to get featured in next week's show, I need you to post a picture on your Instagram tagging me in it. That way I can get you guys on here. And if you did see your picture on here, hey, take a screenshot, tag me. I'd love to be able to share it. So the challenge this week, post your best tailgate picture. It could be at any game it is. I don't care what game it is. Post your best tailgate picture and tag me on IG. I'm going to pick my favorites, and I'm going to put them on the show just like I did this past week. If you want bonus points, okay, and a better chance of being able to make the show, Raiders and 49ers tailgate pictures. All I'm saying is you got a better chance of getting on. Let's now talk about the big guys up front. The Raiders decided to move on from Darius Stills. He was one of the 80-man roster cut downs. But the guys that I'm really going to be looking at here, if Gerald McCoy plays, obviously him. But Darius Philon, man. Darius Philon has been an absolute monster in the trenches. He's been doing it all. He had a tackle last week. He had half a sack, 2 quarterback hits, and then the BK is a block kick. He was the big reason why the Rams ended up missing a field goal. He was able to get one of his big paws on the ball, and it gets deflected. This is going to be a guy that I really think ends up making that 53, especially if he keeps playing the way he is, because he is really fun to watch right now. Let's now go to the safety room. Merrick, always going to be watching him. Dalen Levitt really needs to step up, though I don't think he has any chance in hell making this 53. Abram, Carl Joseph, is he going to be fully healthy? So the route that I'm going to go here is I'm going to be talking about Roderick Teamer, but also I want to see the rookie Tyree Gillespie. I want to see number 37 flying around the football just a little bit more. Nate Hobbs has been phenomenal, and it's kind of one of the reasons why people are starting to forget about Gillespie simply because of how good Nate Hobbs has been. Don't forget about him. He's a versatile player. The Raiders have a lot of high hopes for him, and so do I. So out of all those dudes on defense, which player are you going to be watching the closest on the defensive side of the football? I love talking offense. I'm a fantasy football guy at heart, but let's face it, the way that this team gets better is on the defensive side of the football. So if you could, go down to the comments section right now, and please let me know a player that you're watching on defense.